Hello, beloved friends. Welcome back to my channel. I have just arrived back in my California home where I'm going to be for the next couple months, creating lots of videos and content after taking almost 2 months off of YouTube. I've really missed making videos for all of you, and the reason why I took the break was because I was in India. And if anyone has ever been to India, particularly Goa, you will probably know that it's really difficult to get good Wi-Fi there. And I was also holding my first 2 retreats. So exciting. They were so beautiful, and I just fully wanted to be present for my guests and for my friends that I was with there. So now I'm back, and there will be lots more videos coming in these next couple of months especially. I also want to quickly mention that yesterday I launched my retreats website, awakenyogaretreats.com. If you want to have a look at my upcoming retreats, I have another goddess one coming in 2020, as well as my next one, which will be in one of my favorite places in the world, Australia. So what is it like traveling as a woman, especially as a Western woman in India? It's a pretty big topic. I'm going to try to sum it up quickly with my own experiences. I am creating this video because I get asked a lot, especially while I was over in India, and I also did have one young woman write me an interesting email that she follows me on Instagram and saw all my beautiful India pictures, so she booked a trip to India and then discovered that I was misrepresenting the country because she had a very difficult experience as a woman there, going to temples, expecting it to be all about goddess worship because that's what I share with all of you, but of course that's not how it is there. Not in most places anyways. There's a lot of patriarchy. It's not really a secret. It does happen on that side of the world, and I just want to remind you that, again, what you see on social media, especially on Instagram, are just the highlight reels for someone's life. I'm not going to be sharing all the dark experiences I have because that's just not the frequency I'm trying to put out on my social media, but it does exist. And again, just do your own research on a place before you go somewhere, and don't take social media so literally. I will also say that regarding some of the messages I received, similar to this girl who went to India and was surprised, it's not the religions. I feel like people are getting mixed up by the religion and the culture. So Hinduism does not repress women. For some reason there's this mix-up, but it's the culture and it's societies pretty much everywhere in the world today that are repressing women. It has been happening for thousands of years on our planet, but it's not Hinduism, it's not Sikhism, it's not, Christianity. It is simply the culture that has kind of tainted these religions into what they want it to be so that they can have more control. So I just wanted to make a note of that. It's not Hinduism itself. Hinduism does worship goddesses. Of course, in my path of Tantra, there's a lot of goddess worship, a lot of goddess puja, but that is not saying that India is the same. So there's been a lot of societal, cultural, and religious mix-up there, all different things that do influence one another. Coming from a Western country, many of you probably know that we grew up with a lot of nonsense through the news, warning us about certain places in the world, feeding our fear for these places. We grow up almost with a closed mind to anything that's different from us. So an example of this for me when I was in India, first, I was traveling with a male friend of mine, and whenever someone speaks to us, whenever another man speaks to us, he won't speak to me at all. It's like I'm invisible. And even when I directly speak to him, say a waiter at the restaurant, I'll ask him a question and he will look at my male friend and answer it. So it's like I'm not there, even though he's listening to me, he's only talking to my friend. This is something that I felt almost was an insult, because in my culture, where I'm from, we look people in the eyes and it's a sign of respect. So of course, my first time in India especially, I was really upset because I felt that they were disrespecting me. And then when I spoke this last time to one of my local friends, he said that it's actually out of respect because they see it as looking at another man's woman or looking at a woman as disrespectful. So of course it does depend on the person who's doing it. Maybe he doesn't respect women, that could be something, or maybe he respects them and this is just the culture that he's been raised in and this is how he's been taught to approach women. So this is just one example of how the way that we're raised can close our minds to the way that other people are raised, and I can easily become upset and think that they're disrespecting me or think that it's something negative when really it could just be a cultural difference. I'm just going to be completely open on this vlog about India and about my experiences in the Middle East in general. I have experienced a lot of repression as a woman. I've experienced a lot of disrespect and I've witnessed a lot of disrespect and repression. It's kind of something that I've learned over the years. When we see suffering of humans, of animals, when you begin traveling to undeveloped nations, you will definitely experience a lot of this. My way of dealing with it is not being ignorant, but acknowledging it, being aware of its presence, but not attaching to it and not letting it sit heavily on my heart like I did when I first started traveling, because that just made me a more low vibrational human, which doesn't serve the world well. I acknowledge it, I don't attach to it, and then I also sit in my truth and know that I'm doing what I can in my existence to try to help the collective. And that's by showing up for myself and doing my internal work and then trying to spread that and to help guide others to do the same. Hopefully, eventually, it will be like that little wave in the ocean. Once enough goes one way, then it will change the whole course of the ocean. So I'm really just trying to stay on a positive frequency while these things are around me. And yeah, I'm not sharing them all the time on my social media because I don't want to scare people of going somewhere, because there's so much beauty, there's so much history, there's so much to learn and to see and to experience within India. It's one of the most beautiful countries and places and sacred lands on the planet. So I don't want to be sitting there saying everything negative, because every culture has pros and cons. I'm back in California and I already see myself noticing the cons. It's not right in your face like India, but it's there. And then it can suck you in as well, and it can be heavy on you. So really every country in the world is going to have things that's going to be difficult. So it's really about staying within yourself and not attaching to these, not creating big expectations for when you go somewhere. So we latch on to those expectations and then we can never be fulfilled. And it's like that on all parts of life. So definitely traveling, I would recommend to do your research, be aware of your surroundings, know what to expect, and try not to create too many expectations for a place. And really just always opening yourself to the beauty in every situation, because even in the suffering, even in the what appears to us to be painful living, maybe these people are actually happier than we are back home. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned when I first started traveling, that rich doesn't mean having a nice house. Rich, you see it in someone's eyes. You see it when they smile and you just think, wow, that's true luxury, that's true bliss, that's true success, that's true richness. You can see it in a soul. So let's just try not to create too many prejudgments about other places simply because they're different and they're not what we're used to. If you feel angry, if you feel sad, if you feel heavy from these issues, then look into how you can do your part in helping them. For me, of course, when I'm in countries like this, it's very difficult for me to not get angry, and I'm not a very angry person, but it can come up, especially when I'm in the business of empowering women. This is my passion. Instead of getting angry, I transform that energy into productivity. How can I be productive in how can I serve? How can I change this? How can I do the most that I can without becoming angry and becoming on the level of these people who are doing, these terrible things to others. All of my retreats, all of my upcoming events, I have found different foundations and causes for women's empowerment in India and all around the world that I will be donating to and having fundraisers for. So also please stay tuned for that. There's a lot that we can do as individuals. So if you have those feelings come up, those emotions, just bring them into something of use, something that will uplift you and uplift others, because that's what the world needs. We don't need more anger, we don't need more sadness, we don't need more depression. So let's try to make something good out of the situation as much as we can. In terms of safety in India, I went to 64 countries before I traveled to India, so I showed up with like this confidence thinking that I'm a veteran traveler, and I will say India shocked me even after all that traveling, and it really humbled me. India does humble you. She does that. She makes you realize how small you are and how irrelevant, but also how relevant you are at the same time. It is a land of extremes. I have gone through times where I've almost panicked because I'm looking around, am I really safe in this situation? But it's mostly because there's so many people. It's such a busy country. I lived in Bangkok and I lived in Hong Kong. I lived in busy Asian countries before this, but India it's its own thing. It is so hectic, it's so chaotic, and a lot of the times that I felt genuinely scared was actually just because there was so much happening that I wasn't sure. But then when I actually look around, no one's meaning me any harm. They're just going about their day. A lot of situations I've been in where all of a sudden there's 100 men around me and oh my god, I've never been in this situation before. There's so much masculine energy, and then I'm thinking about the issues of the country and is something going to happen to me? But every time I've actually looked around, there's been no one trying to do me any harm. No one. Men, of course, if you're a girl traveling alone, will come up and want to take selfies with you. Some of them will be very persistent, so these are things that you need to expect for sure. In my experience, I'm not going to say that it's all safe. There's some very, very, very dangerous places in India, especially as a woman traveling alone or as anyone traveling alone. Of course, do your research. But I will say that in my experience, I haven't been in any situations where I have felt like I'm actually unsafe. It's just the chaos first, but then once I sit in that and I come back to my center, I realize that there's no actual immediate danger. Another thing when I first arrived in India was I thought that I could just show up and figure it out, which I do in a lot of countries. India is not the country to just show up and wing it. You can in Goa. Goa's very relaxed, more of a vacation spot. There's a lot of Westerners there. You can probably just hang out there and wing it if you want, but if you're going to the cities, if you're going to go sightseeing in major tourist attractions or in spiritual areas where there's not many Westerners, definitely get a tour guide. I cannot recommend this enough. I tried to travel for the first little while on my own, going to tourist destinations. There was always men around me. I couldn't take pictures. I didn't feel comfortable ever. And then I got a tour guide, and your tour guide will usually tell them to leave, speak to them in their language, and create that space for you to actually enjoy the day. And they'll also take pictures of you. So if you want pictures, because there's so many people, I don't want to just give my camera away or my phone to someone random. If you have a tour guide, then they can help you with that as well. And of course, give you the history and just make you feel a lot safer. They're very cheap too. You can get them beforehand from a reputable company, do your research online, or get it through your hotel. That's what I did, and it really saved the rest of my trip. So I wanted to keep this video quick. I'm kind of rambling on. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it tells you a little bit more about India and what it's like over there. Honestly, you have to go for yourself to see how it is. I can just keep repeating this. Do your research on the areas, read some forums, read people's experiences. Nothing in my experience has ever been as scary as the news has made it out to be. Of course, be smart about things, do your research, travel with a group if you can. Don't travel alone if you have the option, but it's okay to do so as well if you know where you're going and you have a plan beforehand. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, I'm going to be doing 2 videos a week now for quite a while because I've really missed this platform. I love YouTube. I love reading your comments. And I just love being here connecting with all of you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for your presence here. And I'm excited to connect more. If you have any questions about India, just comment below. I'll do my best to answer them. Many, many blessings. Love you all.